Look at the ethics of it.
Everything
Professional ethics. You're a doctor. You've taken the Hippocratic oath. You've diagnosed me with something. Then instead of telling me the report, you take it to Latif first. That is what is happening. And my colleagues, with due respect, are all professionals in this. All these people are and very high caliber professionals.
How do such people then earn
in these committees?
Honestly, people who perform something which at the very least is despicable. You know full well what you took an oath to do. You abrogate that.
And that is what you are saying.
That particular oath. And somehow we are supposed to overlook it and still consider you a Mheshimiwa and still consider you to be somebody whom we should respect, honestly.
And that's what you're saying, City. I think we need to get it right.
That's very true.
And we are not against anyone here. We're just saying, let's do these things right.
Mheshimiwa, how many of you voted no to the finance bill?
I think the last vote we were 106.
106 of you voted no.
Yes.
Right? Would it be right to assume that all of you voted no for the same reason? That you felt the people are against this? Principally, the move to increase taxation in this manner is wrong, and therefore, let us not accept this bill.
Well, I cannot say that because some people may have voted because of the party position. The party came out very strongly, ab initio, and said, on this one, we are voting no, if you are in the opposition. So some of us may have voted no because of that reason. But most of us voted because we had read through the bill. And we had seen that some of these provisions may not augur very well for the electorate.
Right.
And in fact, some of those provisions can wait.
Okay.
But more than that, and something else that happened the other day, in Parliament we have what we call the order paper. Basically, it's the agenda for the day. And this was raised by Honorable Mushumba. I think that was yesterday or the day before yesterday. We go to the House expecting to debate on a certain matter. But when you reach the House, you find a different agenda. I'm talking about the deployment of KDF. It was never in the order paper. It was for lack of a better word, sneaked in the morning. And normally, before the agenda is set, there is what we call the House Business Committee. It must sit, approve the business for the day or for the week or whatever. So you ask yourself, really? You remember the case of the discussion on the Deputy President's issue on the floor of the House?
Yep.
That was never on the agenda.
It sneaked in.
It is sneaked in. How is
so we have a rogue parliament.
Are we supposed
now
to work like that?
I want to come back to my question. Okay. 106 of you voted no, for whatever reason, but you believe that a majority voted because they believe that this is wrong. Okay? You feel that because of what we have done as parliament, not only on the finance bill, but on these other matters, where matters are sneaked into the order paper, they're actually not even on the order paper, they're just sneaked into the business of the House without due process being followed. Things are happening outside of Parliament and then coming to Parliament as an afterthought, or so it appears. There are very many things that this 13th Parliament has done that you feel, this is not how Parliament should run. It runs contrary to our standing orders, to the laws of the Republic, to the spirit and letter of the Constitution, so many things. And that's why you're saying, why don't we all just go home? And I asked you a question, why don't you resign? I'm going to come back to that. As a leader, would you be willing to sit down with 106 members of Parliament whom you know they voted no, who you know feel at least one way the way you feel, and try and convince them, can we resign en masse? If 106 members of Parliament over 345 legislature, okay, 12 of them are nominated, of the others that are nominated, of all of you went home on the principle that we do not feel that this Parliament is legitimate, you'll be sending a point. And it's all about sending a point.
It's something I'm ready to engage in. I have no problem with that. But there's something you touched on. The constitutional provision on the separation of powers. You know, when I went to Parliament, and I'll give you a very local example, I thought my relationship with the executive would be like my current relationship with my mother-in-law, where you respect
But keep your distance.
You keep your distance. Most of us spend most of our time with the executive. We go to church together. They give us money for harambes. And therefore the line becomes blurred. Do you see the judges going to State House or magistrates, for example? Do you see them going to ministers' offices? No. They have kept on their lane. It's only us in Parliament who are always wavering.
I hear you. I want to come back.
And that is where
I want to
the
stick to
problem
that
starts.
question. Are you prepared to sit down with 106 members
I said
of Parliament
yes.
in the very beginning?
I said yes, even this
and
afternoon.
say, we resign.
I said even
Are
this
you
afternoon.
prepared to be the first one to hand in your resignation
I
and
can
say,
do it.
you know what, let's actually go home and announce to
I
the
have no-
country, I am seeking to go back to my people of Nyarivari Masaba and ask them, give me a fresh mandate. If you still have faith that I'm representing you well,
That is something I can
give me
do
a fresh
tomorrow.
mandate.
I have no problem with that. But then, the point is this.
The CDF issue that you raised.
Is it Parliament or is it Daniel Manduku? You're not answering me.
It is Parliament. Parliament comprises.
And you gave a very good example. You
Parliament
said Magarini.
comprises
Magarini today,
349 members.
Magarini is vacant today.
Yes.
There's another constituency that belonged to the late Kolo, Banisa.
Mm-hmm.
It's been vacant for a year.
Yes.
But life is going on in Parliament. The same things are being done in the manner I'm talking about.
We know in Magarini, the courts have ruled that there was an issue with the election.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. If Nyaribari Masava becomes vacant today, it will be clear that their member stands on principles. Their member does not just speak. Their member acts. Secondly,
let me tell you, Latif, let me remind you.
I want to ask the question.
I have been in that space before.
Yes.
When I was accused of alleged corruption, when I was managing director of the Port of Mombasa, I called my minister and resigned, remember?
Yes.
And went home. And for 6 months, so that I could allow for investigation. And for 6 months, I was just doing my things. Until they found that there was reason to take me to court. So it's a path that I've trodden before. It's a path I can take. I have no problem.
The downside.
But then will it have an effect?
The downside that you quoted was on CDF. Why would CDF be tied to the member of parliament?
You see, you're not
the
getting...
National Government Constituency Development Fund is a national government fund.
You're not getting me.
It is not
What
a
happens,
Parliamentary Service Commission fund.
What happens is, maybe I should enlighten you on this.
Please.
What happens is, as a member of parliament, you're the patron of the national government CDF. Now, in the absence of the member of parliament, the CDF committee becomes inactive and it cannot transact business. Classic cases, ask yourself, Banisa, when is the last time the children of Banisa got bursary?
I do not know.
They haven't gotten it. I mean, do your research a bit and you'll get the facts.
We sat here with the National CDF board and they pointed out to us that the CDF Act was amended in 2015. There was another one in 2017.
So it's 2017, yes.
Right? And in that amendment of that CDF Act, the issue of a member of parliament being a patron was removed.
Well,
so the law, as it sits today, does not have any role for a member of parliament.
Well, that is
NGCDF. All you do is you're oversighting. The team, the committee that manages CDF is independently chosen. There's an official that is seconded from the National CDF board. So there's no role for the MP in the law in the management of CDF. Tell me, why would the people of Magarini not get national government CDF on account of the vacancy?
There's a practice and there's a law. The practice is, and I can tell you without fear of contradiction, that in the absence of the member of parliament, at any particular time or in any particular constituency, the members will be disenfranchised because access to those funds will be locked. It happened in Bonchari when we had a by-election, when we lost a member for Bonchari. The only thing that happens is you don't lose the money. The new member of parliament comes in and finds the kitty has accumulated. But during the duration when there's a vacuum, you cannot access the money. Do your research a bit, then you can call me tomorrow.
That's illegal,
once you
isn't it?
confirm. Whatever you call it, that is a practice.
What does Parliament do about that? For example, what is the current Parliament doing for the people of Banisa?
Nothing.
As a National Assembly,
Nothing.
should you not be ensuring that the people of Banisa are still getting CDF? Should you not be summoning the board of CDF and asking, have you disbursed money to
They'll tell you.
CDF
They'll
committee in
tell you
Banisa?
that the money is safe and intact, awaiting a member of parliament. Don't forget that projects that are done by CDF arise out of public participation, which is conducted by the sitting member of parliament. You cannot go and do any project without the member of parliament having conducted public participation, done a proposal to the board, obtained approval, and then you come for implementation. So you cannot assume the role played by the member of parliament.
There remains this question. In the absence of the fear that was exhibited by members of parliament when the citizenry approached parliament, in the absence of that fear, do you really think that your colleagues in parliament are convinced or that they're convicted that they are actually doing a horribly terrible job of managing the delegated powers that they have?
Good question, but I can't answer on their behalf.
Actually, you
and
can.
That's why I've come here to say I think we are not doing the right thing. Many of them, when you speak to many of them in private, without naming names, actually express those sentiments.
It doesn't help the citizenry. This is the whole point. Even if
one man must come out and say, "Oh, you guys, wait a minute. I think we've lost track here."
Actually, even if they didn't say it and their deeds spoke for them, then it would be clear. But how do you engage reverse gears from an institution that is as compromised as this one? Because they make the laws, they still make the laws. So anything that moves towards them exiting is something they will fight tooth and nail.
Agreed. I mean, that is why we're having this conversation now. Therefore, the route to go is to ask the public to do massive recalls, because that is provided for in law.
That one is coming.
And if we start arguing about the law, we'll argue until tomorrow.
That one is coming. The massive recalls are coming.
So that appears